I'm JB, and today somebody I've been trying to talk to for quite a while, someone who is definitely making waves all over professional wrestling. She's been a champion in multiple promotions. You can see her in multiple promotions, but right now you can listen to her on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Allie Recks. Allie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me today.
We talked a little bit earlier. I am here on the East Coast. It is a miserable, rainy day, and it was nice to know that we would be chatting today. I've got a lot to kind of go over with, and I just wanted to know for people who may not specifically be familiar with you just yet. You know, can you kind of give us the early, how did you get into wrestling, and maybe even what really got you into wrestling? Kind of give us that sort of rundown real quick.
Sure. I started watching wrestling probably a lot later than a lot of people did. Like when they started, I was probably about like 12, 13. And in that time, my cousins were watching it all the time, and I'm like the only girl basically in my family. I have a lot of boy cousins, so that's what they were into. So every day after school, I would come home and kind of watch it with them, and then it kind of just stuck. I was one of those that made the wrestling ring in the backyard on the trampoline, the garden hoses and the whole nine. And I would have my own little shows with my friends on like Saturdays and like that kind of stuff. And my mom always said like, "Oh, she's just gonna outgrow it." But then when I returned about 15 or 16, I tried to do one of those week-long camps at a wrestling school near my house, and my parents were kind of just not having it. Said that they just wanted me to go to college. I was a softball player, so they thought I would go to college on like a scholarship for softball, but I don't know, at the end of the day, it was always wrestling. So when I did turn 18, I went to college for a year, and I did pretty good. I did all right, but I didn't know how to really stop doing something because I was always playing sports, so I just really wanted to go back to something, and wrestling was the first on my list. So I found a school, I started training, and actually for the first year and a half before I made my debut, like I didn't even tell my parents I was training because I just didn't think they would approve of it, or like dropping out of school and going to wrestling. So I actually lied to them a lot when I would come home, like all bruised up from practice, and they'd ask me like, "Oh, like where are you getting all these bruises from?" And I would just say I was taking like a self defense class. I'm sorry, like at the gym. So it was pretty funny, and it was pretty much like a huge turnaround when I did finally like sit them down and tell them like, "This is what I'm doing, this is what I want to do," and it kind of just put it like accept it or don't kind of thing. And to my surprise, like they accepted it, and they accepted it really well, and now they support me so much with it. They come to as many shows as they possibly can. My mom's always running around bragging about it, which is kind of cool hearing it from her because I never expected it. So yeah, that's really it. That's like the story of it.
Oh, that's awesome, and it seems to me like there's some dates online. You can find anything online, but from what I saw, like July 2014 was kind of your first official match. Is that correct?
Yes, it was actually my first show. I forgot. Oh, I was in Whitehaven, Pennsylvania, and for that match, we were literally in the middle of a campground. So there was a big tarp above the ring and about 12 people in the crowd. But let me tell you, it was a fun debut.
Well, you've been in the business now. It's 2014, so we're coming on 5-6 years of professional wrestling. Do you have any regrets, or do you feel like you're right at home and right where you need to be?
um, Regrets? No, not really. I mean, I've had a couple injuries along the way, which I feel like I almost could have prevented if I would have like worked out my legs a little harder or stopped being a little more reckless in the ring. But other than that, no, I have no regrets. This is something I definitely want to continue to do, and I feel like I'm on the right track. I just moved out here to Florida, so I'm looking to like expand out here more, work for many promotions out here, and get my name out here. I feel like I did all I could up north, so I feel like I'm on the right track, and I'm excited to see what's to come.
Awesome. Now, we spoke a little bit about being in the business for this amount of time. 5 years sounds like a short amount of time, but a lot has happened in professional wrestling in 5 years, and more specifically, a lot has happened with the women in the past 5 years. So, have you seen kind of the changes coming the past 5 years? How have you been treated differently now versus like when you first started getting into the business, or did you have a pretty good time throughout?
I mean, it's definitely changed a ton in the 5 years that I've been wrestling. Like, for example, we would have like maybe one women's match on a lot of the cards, and we'd be like first or second, kind of just get us out of the way or just start the show off. And now, like, when I wrestle for all these different promotions, there's two, sometimes three women's matches. And, like, in PPW, when I wrestled, like, for them in Pennsylvania, I was their champion. Like, I main evented one of their shows with Emma. And, like, to be able to do that, like, now, like, is amazing. Because 5 years ago, that would have never happened. You know what I'm saying? And it was just an all-around, like, amazing show. And it feels good to be able to show the world like what we can do, because like, these girls are talented, they're athletic, and like they can really put on a great show, and it's amazing.
So again, you've wrestled kind of all over. You're now down in Florida. What do you think? Actually, thinking back and being a part of wrestling for a little bit, like what do you think was the first thing that kind of drew you into it? You said you watched it with your cousins, but like what was that one thing? Was it the athleticism? Was it the kind of storylines about professional wrestling? Was it the look of people? Like, what really got you into professional wrestling?
What it was for me was I was a huge Rey Mysterio fan growing up. Like, that was my idol. That was, like, my love. Like, you know how that goes. And he had one of his knee injuries was around the same time where I actually blew my knee out for the first time, and I was, like, in 8th grade or 7th grade. So I was decently young, and I had to get a pretty bad surgery. They had to do, like, it was a 6-hour surgery, and they had to, like, reconstruct my entire knee. I was dropped from like a cheerleading stunt. Like I was one of the flyers that was on top, and they just decided it wasn't a good idea to catch me. I don't know, but I just remember like he always got like he hurt his knee, and he was going through the surgeries and stuff, and he always came back like better and stronger. So I was like, look, like I could do this too, kind of thing. Like I can get through this. And I remember being so young and going into surgery. That was my little Rey Mysterio teddy bear that I got off the WWE shop, and like everybody at the surgery center was like asking me about it and what it was, and they let me take it in with me, and it just became like this whole big thing. And like as far as him wrestling on TV, I like connected to him because he was always such like of an underdog in the matches. And like as in softball, when I would like get up to bat, and I remember like the whole infield, the whole outfield, they would take like 5 steps in, and it was just so like aggravating because I was just this small, tiny little girl, so they just assumed that I couldn't hit the ball, I couldn't play. And it felt so good when I would like rip the ball over their heads and stuff. And that's just what made me relate to him in like so many different ways. And that's what connected me to wrestling.
So you've been a fan for a long time. Not specifically your matches so far, but we'll get to that in a minute. But like, do you have matches that you look back at that you just really have like, I can think of 5 or 6 matches that I watched growing up that I really, really like. They're my favorite matches. And if anybody ever says, I can't believe you watched that or whatever, I would say, okay, sit down. I'm going to show you these matches. So, do you have, obviously you were a big fan of Rey Mysterio. Do you have any favorite matches that you can think of over the years, whether it be, WWE, WCW, TNA, any of that?
First one that comes to mind would be Ray and Eddie from Halloween Havoc. That's like my favorite match ever. So that's definitely the first one that comes to my mind.
That's awesome. Well, speaking of Halloween, it is knocking on our door. It's going to be close. Are you a big like Halloween person? Do you like to dress up? Do you what are you going to be doing for Halloween?
Well, you have no idea. So my fiance is a huge he loves Halloween. It's his Christmas. It's his like favorite thing ever. So our house right now is completely already decorated and decked out with fog machines and black lights and glow up things, and it's insane. And we already had a Halloween party on Sunday, the first Sunday of October, and we already dressed up. He was James Dean and I was Marilyn Monroe. So it's going to be Halloween for an entire month in this house.
I guess my invite got lost in the mail, but that's all right. Maybe next year we'll figure that out. But not only do you like Halloween, obviously, if you look at any of your social media, whether it be Twitter or Instagram, it looks like you have a lot of varied interests. Jurassic Park seems to be one of them. That is an awesome, whether it's the first three movies or the ones that are coming up. What is it about Jurassic Park that you like so much?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm just completely obsessed with it. I think it's because when I was a kid, I was absolutely terrified of Jurassic Park and everything to do with it. And every time my mom would put it on, I would just be so scared. I think that's what made me go to love it so much, like growing up.
So with Jurassic Park, I'm not for sure if you're aware. This news kind of came out a little bit earlier. I think maybe 2 weeks ago or something. But they said that the next Jurassic World movie, they're gonna bring back Dr. Grant, Dr. Malcolm, and Dr. Sattler, and they're gonna actually have like large roles in the movie. It's not just gonna be like little bit parts. Um, are you excited about that?
Oh my god, I read the article and I like nearly cried. I was so excited to finally see them come back. I mean, I love what they're doing with like Claire and Owen and everything, but to see them come back and everybody be together, like that's gonna be really good.
It's gonna be awesome. So, big fan of Jurassic Park. Loves Halloween. What else are some things that we need to know about you? What are your other go-to things that you like to do when you're not wrestling?
I'm a huge toy collector, so I go around to all flea markets and like comic shops and toy stores, anywhere I can find them, and I'm always buying figures and statues and pop Funkos and the whole nine. So that's one of our like biggest hobbies that we do outside of wrestling. We have like a YouTube show actually where we go and we show everybody like how we hunt and find these toys. So it's a lot of fun to do.
Awesome. So, what is that one thing? And I know you've got it, but you're looking at it maybe in your house. It's there. There's a fire or something, a hurricane, and that's the thing you're grabbing before you walk out the door. What is that one thing?
Oh my god, that's such a hard question. Probably my original Jurassic Park gates from like 1993, I think they came out, or 1991, and they were so hard to find, and we were looking for it everywhere. We actually had to find it online. And it's only missing like two pieces that I'm hunting for, but yeah, that's like my prized possession right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're wrestling all over. You said you just moved down to Florida. Where are some places that people could actually see you wrestle these days? Where are you based out of now?
Right now I'm based out of Sarasota, Florida, and I'm actually taking a little break from wrestling right now. I gotta make a few little changes and tweaks, but I will be. I have a booking up in Minnesota on the 19th of this month, and then I'm really making a debut out here on November 9th up in Orlando for USA Pro Wrestling.
All right. So, you kind of, you said you started up north, you're down south now. Like, are there any places that you can think of or promotions that you haven't got a chance to work with yet, other than the big ones, obviously? But, like, are there some places that you still have on maybe that bucket list that you want to go through, or even opponents that you want to wrestle?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Opponent-wise, there's a handful of people that I'd love to wrestle again, actually. I've had the chance to work with, like, Santana Garrett in the past, and I'd love to work with her again if that was ever possible. Penelope Ford, I've never had a one-on-one match with, and I would have loved to have one of those with her. A lot of people, like, I just missed the opportunities and chances right before they would get signed, man. Britt Baker, I haven't had a chance to work with yet. I would love to work with her. Oh gosh, there's so many people. I can go on forever with lists.
Yeah. Now you're here now, 5 years in the business. Do you feel like this is the thing? This is where you're at. You're gonna keep working, and at some point, there are more promotions than there have ever been. There's WWE, there's AEW, there's Impact, like you name it. There's Ring of Honor, and so on and so forth. Where do you want to land? Where do you decide that, like, this is my goal, my ultimate goal, and I'm shooting for that? So, like, what is that scenario in your head? Where are you wanting to land?
Everybody's ultimate goal is to be in the WWE. Excuse me. Like that, ever since I was a kid, that's always been my dream. So I'm going to continue to keep working towards that goal. But we have so many platforms of wrestling now that you can obtain so many other goals along the way, whether it's AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, like any of them. Like I would love to have the opportunity to work with any of those promotions, but like my end goal would definitely be to be with the WWE.
Well, we mentioned today that you have lots of social media. You've got Twitter and Instagram. You said you had a YouTube channel. You also have a Pro Wrestling Tees site. Do you feel like that it's a good part of professional wrestling, the world of social media, or have you felt like that there's been problems with it as well? I know that a lot of people sometimes that it's a great thing. They get to keep in touch with their fans and everything, and then sometimes there are some people that get a little, too brave on social media. Like, what has your experience been being a professional wrestler and working with social media?
I never really had too much of a problem with it, honestly. It could be a good thing in ways you can connect with your fans and promote what you're going to do and like promote your merchandise, like the whole nine. But it can also be like a bad thing with some people where they'll just kind of, like you said, be brave on this, say like some pretty bad things that'll hold them back from obtaining their goals and getting where they want to be. Like you have to watch what you say, just be smart, and that's really what it all comes down to. Just watch what you say and use it for what it's for and connect with your fans and call it a day.
So, so there's one last thing I want to just talk to you about is just that, you told this great story about how you really liked Rey Mysterio and how that's the person that kind of got you in. And so let's just say that right now this interview's playing, and there may be a little girl out there, maybe a young boy, that whoever's listening to this, and they're looking up to you and they're wanting to become you. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who's wanting to break into the business?
I wanted to break into the business, I would just say train as much as you possibly can, go to the gym as much as you possibly can, and train in different places and kind of get a taste of how everybody trains, because you could always take a little bit from each and every place that you go across, and just keep your ears open, your mouth shut, respect everybody, shake everybody's hands, and that's really all there is to it. Just be respectful. We're a family.
Awesome. Well, we definitely want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. Look for Allie Recks. She's coming up north, then she's going to debut down in Florida. We definitely want to have you back on the show at some point. And is there anything else you want to tell anybody who's listening today?
Just that change is coming, and it's been waiting to come for a very, very long time.
All right. Well, check her out on Twitter, Instagram. It's at Allie Recks. Thank you again, and we are looking forward to seeing what comes next with Allie Recks. So thank you so much for taking the time and coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.